Well, thank you so much, Rachel, for joining me today. I appreciate you
Yeah,
taking the time out to do this interview. Um, so,
absolutely.
yeah, so tell us a little bit about why you wanted to be involved with this SCORE E3 conference.
So I work for Show Me Christian County. We are the nonprofit economic development organization that supports all the individual cities and businesses located within Christian County. So Nixa, Ozark, and all of that area. So we are very involved on a day to day basis with large businesses and small businesses. So we see a lot of people that are just getting up and running. We see a lot of business owners who are growing and needing to expand and needing some additional resources like information on how do I hire my first employee, or what if I need HR or payroll or things like that, or where can I expand to? I don't know where to grow my business. I don't know what's available. We help walk people through those different things each and every day. That's a part of what we do, helping be a business liaison between the businesses and the city processes, the county processes. So it's really important to me that the small businesses that are in the area know that resources like us exist and that they don't have to do it alone. There are organizations out there like us who are available to help give insight, even data reports and things like that that they can utilize to help make some decisions or kind of guide their process for growth or changes or things like that. So
That's really great. And you're
yeah.
specifically Christian County then.
Yes, yep. So, and the work that we do here is definitely a small piece of what furthers the growth in the entire region. So, we work with our regional partners in Branson with the Taney County Partnership and the Springfield Chamber and their economic development arm, and really try to collaborate as far as growth in the region goes. Because if there is a business that's looking to expand or relocate, they might have a location in Springfield or in Christian County, but they might not have one in another place. And so trying to figure out what's the best fit for them, their customers, their employees, we really do have to collaborate together to help find what's best for the business. And so we try to do that and try to refer to each other if need be, depending on what the needs of the business are.
Yeah, and Christian County has been one of the fastest growing counties in our state, and it wasn't it like in the
Yeah.
country for a while or something like that.
I don't know on the federal level. I know as far as the state goes, we've consistently been in the top three for the past several years running. I don't know what we came out at on this past year's report, but it's consistently been between top three, top five. We go back and forth with St. Joseph around St. Louis. They're growing a lot as well. But we've got a lot of people that are wanting to not only move here, but grow their business here. We've got the space for it, we've got the land. And from our point of view, it's just about making sure the infrastructure is there to support when the businesses want to grow here and move here, that there's some place for them to go and actually put their business. So that's a lot of the stuff that we work on behind the scenes, on a little bit of a larger scale, too.
Yeah, I think that's so important because especially the way that Springfield and the surrounding areas have grown in the last several years, the last well couple of decades, really, we're all just getting closer and closer, and so it's we overlap so much with where you spend your dollars,
Yeah,
and it's important that we have all of those things available. So yeah, that's really
yeah.
great. So what led you to do the work that you are doing with them specifically now?
Well, I am the operations manager with Show Me, and I do a lot of the day-to-day organizational operations, and that's something that's been kind of consistent throughout my career. I've worked in a variety of different industries for larger companies, smaller mom and pop small businesses, and I've always had my hand in some way, shape, or form in the operations side of things, whether that was administrative work or office management. or personnel management, managing a team. And that's something that I feel like I really enjoy doing and I have a passion for. I really want to see the organizations that I've worked for excel, and I want to see them do well. And so if I find things that maybe could be done a little more efficiently, or if there's different processes that have come out that maybe weren't available a few years ago, what are things that we can do to kind of help maintain the growth that we're seeing and make sure that we're doing, what our mission says and all of those things. So I work a lot behind the scenes here and make sure that the organization has I work a lot on the funding side of things with our investors and our community partnerships with all of our local chambers that we work with, and really try to help manage a lot of those relationships as well as just the organizational mechanics behind the scenes as well.
I like that. So, question for you then: if you have been in this same type of role through many different organizations and businesses throughout the years, is there something that you see that is consistent where you would go in and it's going to be the first thing you look for, maybe as like, I don't want to necessarily say a red flag, but something where you're like, oh, this is the first thing I know we've got to get in line, we've got to fix, or is there something you look for when you go in sometimes?
I think my biggest thing is trying to find what's going well and figuring out how to continue to support those things, because we don't want that to change. We want it to continue to go well. But then, what are there gaps that need to be bridged? Are there things that really should be getting done that maybe aren't getting done to their capacity? And sometimes that's you don't have enough employees up until this point to do that. Sometimes it's you just don't have the right resources or the time. And so I really like, making order out of chaos, kind of looking at what needs a little bit of honing so that it can be the most efficient that it can be and really support the organization in the best way possible. So if that's cleaning up some digital files or something so that everything is more streamlined, so it's easier for people to find things and to know where to go when they're looking for certain documents, or if that is kind of looking over, the handbook or the policies that they have to make sure that they are still current, things like that, trying to make sure that things aren't falling off, or falling through the cracks. And that's something that I enjoy doing and enjoy being that type of resource for my team.
Yeah, I like that. That's so important. And I think the ability to communicate with people, especially if you're coming in as maybe a newer person on the team and having to address some of
Mhm.
those things. Um, is there anything you could speak to in that, in the communication and how you're able to come into that space?
Yeah, I think it's important to have that upfront conversation with the team leader or business owner as you're coming in to say, are there things that you have high on your list that you would like to get done as soon as possible and that you want to accomplish? And then are there some short-term goals, some midterm goals, and some long-term goals that you have? And then we can kind of look at those and see what's realistic, what's something that one person can do versus what's something you might need to outsource or have a team work on. What are some things that you want done now, but it's probably going to take a lot more time, and kind of lining out those needs and wants into what's biggest priority and what's the lesser priority. And that's going to change depending on the organization and the size of the team and the funding and all of those things. But I think that's an easy way to kind of quickly assess what you can tackle first, and kind of just do a quick a checklist of here's the things we want to go after. Now how do we make that happen, and then create an action goal for those things.
Yeah, it sounds like that would kind of carry over too into a lot of what your
Oh yeah,
organization does, because you've
absolutely.
got to figure out all these different
Yeah.
businesses, the owners, what their goals are.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's something that we work on with a lot of different businesses we have. And, we cater depending on what their needs are. So some people need a lot of assistance with walking through all those steps. Some people don't need as much. So we kind of look at each one as a unique case and try to figure out what's the best way to kind of move forward with their goals and what they're needing and how we can help be a resource to them in that way.
That's great. So if a person was starting a business in Christian County, would you guys be a good place to go to start to ask questions and then resource them out, or do you usually get them a little further down the line? Where does that land in their plan?
It's a variety. So we a lot of times we will get referrals from our local chambers of commerce or from the cities themselves or the county if they have someone that comes to them and asks them, hey, I'm looking at starting a business, but I'm needing some help or needing some questions answered. They will usually refer them to us, or they find us organically. And a lot of times we'll kind of start with, well, where are you at in your process? Is this just an idea? Or do you have funding like ready to go and you are just needing like a location? Like we try to gauge where they're at in the process. Sometimes they just have the idea and they don't necessarily have a bank loan yet, or the money behind it, or the investors, or even a location, or they're not expanding their business or starting it from scratch, so they might not even have their business plan lined out yet. So we kind of gauge where are they at in that process, and then from there kind of step in with, here's how we've helped people in the past when they've been at the same step as you, and here's some things that we can offer as a resource, and is that something that you need right now, or is that something that you want to keep in mind down the road? Sometimes they already have a business partner or someone that they know of in a similar industry that they've already got in mind that they want to use for different things. And so we kind of sit down and have an initial meeting with them and just kind of talk through those things first before we take the next steps. So, and sometimes we get brought in at the end of the process. Sometimes they've got everything lined out. They've already got their building lined out, they've got all that stuff, but they have just a little bit of more financing that they need, so they need some gap funds. And sometimes we're able to find a program that can help with another stackable loan, or a different funding source that we can connect them with that can help get them over that hump. So it kind of depends. We see people at all levels of the process. So sometimes they just need our help advocating for a project at the city level or something like that, and so we'll look at it and see what kind of project it is and how we can help with it.
That's great. That's great. Well, a couple of quick questions for you.
Mm-hmm.
I like to ask people what one of your favorite books would be, and this can be for in business. This can be more personal, just something that's meaningful to you.
Mm. Well, I am a classic. I like the classics a lot. And so I am a big Jane Austen fan.
Yeah.
I think that she's very witty, and I've always enjoyed some of that style of writing. And so I would say Pride and Prejudice is probably my favorite. They've got, I'm going to go see the movie in theaters this week. It's
Yeah.
re-released for 20 years. So I'm going to go see that and enjoy that. But that's probably one of my favorites. But yeah,
Okay. And then do you have a quote, a mantra, a saying, anything that tends to follow
I
you through life?
do. I do. I have one that I've used since high school, and I think it really speaks to my personality. And then also just it can be used for any individual, but it's by Edward Everett Hale. And the quote goes, "I am only one, but still I am one. I cannot do everything, but still I can do something. And because I cannot do everything, I will not refuse to do the something that I can do." So you
Ooh,
might not
I
be
like
to
that.
might not be able to solve the world's problems, but you can probably answer a phone call or take a meal to somebody or help someone in their next process with something. And that is, I think, that speaks volumes to not just quit because you can't do it all. You can do one or two things, and sometimes that's just fine.
Yeah, that is an excellent quote. And also I feel like that is very apropos for your
Hmm.
career.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, that need to be able to do what you can and then also
Hmm.
delegate at the same time. So,
Yeah.
so if you were to invite people to the conference and give them a personal invite from you as to what they could expect
Hmm.
and see, I'd like to just give you a moment to do that.
I would love to see all of my small business owner friends attending this conference because I think it's going to be a great opportunity for you to learn about different resources that are available to hear from speakers that have similar experiences to you and have maybe started a small business themselves, but also to just be around other small business owners and really experience that community support and to connect with other people that are probably going through some of the same struggles and growth issues or growth excitements that you're going through, and to really celebrate and support one another while you're there.
Yeah, that's so wonderful. And I think these conferences are so good for people to get that sense of
Mm-hmm.
community because sometimes it can be very isolating to be a business owner or
Yeah.
any sort of middle upper management, anything like that. You feel like you're doing alone.
Yeah, sometimes you can feel like you're the only one going through stuff just because not everyone, especially in social media, shares the struggles of small business challenges and growth issues. And you want to share all the exciting stuff that your business is doing and not necessarily all of the challenges. And I think this is a great space to be able to share some of those challenges with your fellow small business owners and to really learn how you can combat those together and to kind of feel that sense of camaraderie.
Yeah, completely agree. Well, thank you so much, Rachel, for spending some
Yeah, of
with me this
course.
afternoon. We will see you on
Okay.
May 6th
Yeah.
at the E3, at the SCORE E3 Small Business Conference. So at the Oasis. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today, Rachel.
Yeah. Thank you. See you
All
there.
right.
Bye.